Good afternoon, everybody. This is Logan Albright, and I want to talk to you about a very funny book today. Now, I love to laugh. I love comedy. I love a good sense of humor. And unfortunately, I also love books. I don't know what it is, but it seems like it's hard to make books that are really funny. I think there's an element of surprise you can get in visual media that you can't get in books because most people read a little bit ahead, and you can't have that shock value of like a good slapstick in a book. So in order to be funny in a book, you have to have a really ridiculous situation, and you have to describe it just perfectly with just the right words. Not very many people can do it. I've talked before about P.G. Wodehouse. He's able to do it. And today I want to talk to you about one of the other favorite funny books that I've ever read. All right, the book I'm talking about today is called Three Men in a Boat, to Say Nothing of the Dog. And it's written by Jerome K. Jerome. Not really famous for anything else, but you gotta love a guy who's got the same first and last name. It shows a spectacular lack of imagination on the part of his parents, and I think it must skip a generation because he made up for it by being very imaginative. This is the cheap Barnes & Noble edition. There's not a lot of good editions of this book out there, surprisingly. But it serves purpose. It's only about 200 pages long. It's a quick read, and it's hilarious. It's about these three men and their dog, Montmorency, who decide to go on a camping trip, a voyage up the River Thames in a boat, and they're going to have a good time. And of course, many things go wrong, and there's a lot of observational comedy in there about things that happen when you go on a camping trip or when you're out in nature. Very astutely observed things that we've all experienced. It was written in 1889. But it still feels very relevant today. It still feels like the kind of things you would experience if you go out on a camping trip. And it's written very wittily, and it's extremely funny. It's very British humor. It reminds me a lot of like some of the J.R.R. Tolkien books when he's talking about hobbits traveling along. It's got that kind of traveling feel across England. It's similar. The language and the wit and the comedy is a little bit similar to P.G. Wodehouse, but it's got its own flavor. And I just think it's a delight. And it also contains one of my favorite quotes ever, which is, "Let your boat of life be light, packed with only what you need, a homely home and simple pleasures, one or two friends worth the name, someone to love and someone to love you, a cat, a dog, and a pipe or two, enough to eat and enough to wear, and a little more than enough to drink, for thirst is a dangerous thing." That's a great quote. I have it up on my Goodreads wall as one of my all-time favorites. And I just love that, that good old-fashioned English. We're going to have some good beer and some beefsteak, and that's what will cure what ails us, a little bit of time on the water. I think it's an excellent remedy for anything that's wrong with you. Just get out into nature, have a good time. So it's a very refreshing and very fun and optimistic book, in part from being hilarious. So that's my recommendation for today. Three Men in a Boat, to Say Nothing of the Dog. He wrote a sequel to it. Wasn't as successful. I haven't read it, but this one is extremely good. And if you like to laugh like me, this will serve you well. I'm going to do a video coming up in a couple weeks, I think, about my top 5 funniest books I've ever read. So look forward to that. In the meantime, have a good weekend. I'll see you next time. And be sure to subscribe to my channel if you like it. And check out my books on Amazon.com. The link is in the description below. Thank you very much. I've been Logan Albright, and you've been lovely.